Well, good afternoon, everybody. And of course, welcome to the Late Lunch Show. Alongside your boy DJ Val. How are we all doing out there today? Gotta give props going out there to my bishop. Of course, Bishop John Anthony Francis. And of course, my co-pastor Penny Francis. So as usual on the Late Lunch Show, lots of bits and pieces. Remember, we got our Bible reading. That's going to be at 1:30 the hour. Then we take a slight pause for the cause where we do our public service announcements. And of course, all of our news updates. Then we're back to the music. Got a really special guest today. Someone who is an absolute genius when it comes down to media and streaming and online content and that kind of thing as well. So really glad and happy to have my brother, Mr. Shean Roberts, who is head of the Rex Sound and Vision production team. But I think we need to just start with some music, right?
Hey everyone, it's Keonza Lockett here, and you are listening to the Soul Food Gospel Show with DJ Val.
While the world declines, man, I'm gonna let my light shine. Let my light shine. Oh, I'll never let a day go by in my life where I won't represent Christ. Oh, I'm so glad just to know ya. You know I'll do anything for ya. Every day I'm gonna show ya that I'm thankful for my abundant life. I'm living abundant life. Oh, abundant life. Oh, abundant life. Ooh, I ain't gonna apologize. Abundant life. Oh, abundant life. Oh, hey. Put your hands way up. Get up if you love it. I'm living my life, yeah. I'm living an abundant life, yeah. Willing to pay the price, yeah. I'm willing to sacrifice, yeah. I'm living for Jesus Christ, yeah. Save my soul, now I give him my life, yeah. And now I got a new life, yeah. Ooh, I'm living. I said I'll come back to my life.
Hi, it's your man, superstar, contemporary, Holy Ghost filled gospel artist, Mr. T Briggs, and you're listening to the Soulful Gospel Show with DJ Val, the best gospel show in the United Kingdom. Check it out. Yeah. Uh-huh. Woo.
Take me to ecstasy, where it's just you and me. Your love is with me through the night, knowing you're there is so sublime. You're right there all the time. I'm so glad that you were mine, you were mine. Hold me in your arms, I wanna be closer to you. Let your love surround me. Whisper tenderly, closer to you. Hold me in your arms. My love for you grows more each day. In your loving arms, I want to stay. In this love so sweet. Oh, you really mean so much to me. You're so much more than words can say. Your loving touch tells me you stay, no matter what I see. So close, need you close. I'll stay right by my side. When I'm closer to you. Let your love surround me. Closer. Whisper tenderly, I wanna be closer to you. Hold me in your arms, I wanna be. You're my joy, my joy. You're all that I need. You're all that I need. Closer to you. Without you, no, no. Closer. Hide me, embrace me. Closer to you. Let your love surround me. Closer to you. Yeah, yeah, to you. Let your love surround me. Wanna be closer. Hide me, embrace me. What can I do without you? Love me, surprise me. Hold me in your arms, I wanna be closer. Let your love surround me. Closer. Hold me in your arms, I wanna be closer. Hold me in your arms, I wanna be closer.
So that is the house full of house sounding Jump Up for Joy remix of the chart topping song by LCM team. LCM sent that through. Thank you so much indeed. That one is called Closer.
To the sound of Mr. Green.
So I thought I'd pick up the beat today. Let's get you dancing. Let's get you moving.
The captives free, releasing them from the grip of the enemy. Believe it. Come on, let's go.
Come on, let's wave all those worries, all those doubts, all those problems. Wave them away.
I am standing on higher ground, on solid rock. I am safe and sound, covered totally from head to toe. What's bound in heaven is also bound below. If there are problems, just stand away. If you can solve them, just stand away. Right to the King, He'll bring a brighter day. He is
remember, if you are on any of the social media streams, you know exactly what you need to do. Share, and share a little bit more. Play my friend Alicia Warren. So yeah, so if you're over there on YouTube, right, you guys are gonna share, and then share some more, right? And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as you dance, as you move. Shouts going out there to Hazel, she's on board. Gonna say hi going out there to who's that on YouTube? Shouts going out to Angie RCBI. Shouts going out there to
shall live eternally, exceedingly abundantly,
Buenos tardes, señorita. ¿Dónde está el baño? Question mark.
exceedingly abundantly.
So remember, if you are tuning in via Facebook, although yesterday it didn't happen, but somewhere around the 1.5 hour mark, you may well get cut off. So I've placed a handy link in there for you to connect with me via YouTube.
See a man who is the way, the truth,
Why? Because it helps.
laid his life down for you and I to be free. Open the
Getting you over the hump day, as they call it.
and he caused the lame to walk. He turned water into wine.
A very interesting day so far, you know. Lots of revelation.
Exceedingly abundantly.
Shouts going out to all the people on Periscope. Shouts going out to Levon. God bless you real good. Somebody just asked me, what did you play before you played Alicia Warren? Mr. Green, Miss Cato. Wave it away, wave it away, wave it away. I'm gonna say thank you very much indeed to everybody that tuned in yesterday evening show. How deep was that, huh? Yeah, I didn't know I can go like that, right?
So great.
Had an absolutely fantastic guest that came on. It was indeed was my brother, and I really mean my brother, right? We went to school together, as he kept saying on the interview 37 years ago. Wasn't very helpful, but you know.
In my soul.
Yeah, 37 years ago, we went to school together, and he was sharing his story. I'm not going to say what it was he spoke about. You're just going to have to go over and check out the original Soul Food Show. It's there in YouTube. You go over to soulfoodgospel.com. You can click on any of the Listen Now links, and I believe you'll be able to enjoy it there. Shouts going out to my brother, Mr. Shoggy Tosh. God bless you, sir. Going to be playing some of your stuff a little bit later on.
He is the answer.
So Q-Time Calls tells me, oh, we're just coming up to just gone 1/4 the hour. So remember, at the bottom of the hour, we do move over and have our daily Bible reading. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep playing some great music. I don't want to play that one. I want to play this one.
Wake up and the sun is shining on me. It's a brand new day.
That's right.
It's like something good's gonna come my way. Reminiscing.
I was going to add to all the Salt FM crew.
So amazed. I've got a heart full of joy that I can't contain. I'm filled with hope today. What more can I say? I wanna celebrate and lift my hands and give praise. What happened? I'm clapping, ecstatic, dancing and rapping. We want the world to embrace it. Let's face it. 'Cause you make me happy every morning. You feel that happiness is for you. You make me happy clap along if you feel that the Lord's been good to you. Yeah, you make me happy. Clap along if you know that the good news is the truth. Yeah, you make me happy. Clap along if you feel God's been good to you. Yeah, you make me happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. Come on. It's about to go down, so we're looking out for those frowns. And we spreading the love and joy. There is plenty more to go round. Cause I'm H-A-P-P-Y. Cause this joy I feel inside is exploding, unfolding. At this moment I wanna fly. Got his care and love without measure. No cracking under the pressure. I got this place by sovereign grace. And now this gift is my treasure. My pleasure to let you know that my Jesus makes me feel this way. For this I give you praise. Cause you make me happy. Clap along if you feel I'm clapping. Happiness is for you. You make me happy. Clap along if you feel that the Lord's been good to you. Yeah, you make me happy. Clap along if you know that the good news is the truth. Yeah, you make me happy. Clap along if you feel God's been good to you. Yes, you make me happy. Clap along if you feel happiness is for you. Yeah, you make me happy. Clap along if you feel that the Lord's been good to you. Yeah, you make me happy. Clap along if you know I'm clapping. Good news is the truth.
Listen, shouts going out there to Mr. Alistair V.
If you feel God's been good to you.
All the kiddies are back to school now, aren't they? Oh dear.
I'm happy. Yeah,
Shouts going out to Demi Dyer, Sungo P. Harry,
making me happy.
Auntie Talama, Auntie Osei.
Making me happy. Clap your hands.
Can't forget David.
Happy.
Can't forget our Uncle Ben.
You happy. Move your feet if you know that
And that calls all those FGC and old boys and old girls, man.
you're happy.
Shouts going out to Femi Omotesho. Thank you for joining me yesterday. God bless you. I had a real good time. Shouts going out there to Ronke as well.
If you feel that the Lord's been good to you, He makes me happy. Clap along if you know that the good news is the truth. You make me happy. Clap along if you feel God's been good to you. Yes, you make me happy.
Still waiting for my cake, Hazel.
Feel that happiness is for you. Yeah, you make me happy. Clap along if
If you're listening,
the Lord's been
no matter how you're listening, do let me know.
happy.
I got the Oso secret WhatsApp number. It's all over the whole world now, isn't it? 07960219366. Take you right through to the broadcasting suite.
God's been good to you.
So I'm gonna play this one because on the breakfast show, Mr. Alistair V came up with this song, and I thought hadn't heard it before.
Back to the one.
So I wondered if it was a youth thing or just me not paying attention. Kirk Franklin.
Hallelujah.
How can it be that you love the most unlovable part of me?
But I likes it,
Of me? How could you see
I think it's got to be for the young
your life
and the young at heart, right?
$1 bunny?
If you're joining me, good afternoon and welcome to the Late Lunch Show.
It's amazing with you. I win even if I lose. Everything's working for my good for always.
Come on.
He saves the day. He will come through. He won't now. That's not what superheroes do.
Hallelujah.
No greater love.
Oh, I like this one.
It's my heartbeat. All I wanna do is make you proud of me.
That's why.
I don't wanna love nobody but you. I don't wanna love nobody but you. I don't wanna love nobody but you.
Good afternoon, Yetunde.
Can it be? Everyone
Will you be staying for some late lunch?
You cover me.
you cover me.
I appreciate it.
A mystery.
It's amazing how
Your patience with me, God will never leave.
you don't give up on me.
Don't ever leave.
Help me.
Help me to see like you.
Like you.
No matter what I go through,
Hey.
everything's working for my good for always.
Let me tell you what he does.
He saves the day.
And he
He
will.
will come through.
Hallelujah.
He won't now. That's not what superheroes do.
Not real superheroes.
No greater love
Love like this.
makes my heart beat.
And I promise you,
All I wanna do is make you proud of
Listen, shouts going out there to our very own minister Marcion Benjamin. Shouts going out there to Mary. Adeyeye.
That's right.
I just liked your page. There you go.
And the church saying, come on.
Shouts going out to Caleb Joshua.
Jesus loving you.
Ain't seen you since you've been back, bruh.
It sounds crazy, don't it? Hey. That's how it's supposed to be. Let me tell you what it means. More than less of me. That's why.
I don't wanna love nobody but you. I don't wanna love nobody but you.
Father.
I don't wanna love nobody but you.
I really mean it this time.
I don't wanna love nobody but you.
Jesus.
I don't wanna love nobody but you. I don't wanna love nobody but you.
Let me tell you what it does.
He saves the day.
Come on.
He will come through.
He will let you down, but
He won't. That's not what superheroes do.
see, I will never find
No greater love
a love like this.
makes my heart beat.
Forever and the day.
All I wanna do is make you proud
Let
of
me
me.
say it again.
He saves the day. He will come through.
It feels so good.
He won't. That's not what superheroes do.
Yes.
No greater love.
Do my best not to sing, you know, because my mic is live.
My life.
All I wanna do is make you proud
Shouts go down to my bestie little KK. Didn't say hi going out there to you.
of you. I don't wanna love nobody but you. I don't wanna love nobody but you.
You're the
Ooh, I like this one, you know. Well done, Mr. Alistair V. That one has just made its way into my permanent rotation, which you know what's going to happen. I'm going to wear it out until you all get fed up of it, like I've been playing this song as of late. Oh, you can't blame me. It's such a good song, man. Hope Godwin. I was going to say produced, but it's not produced by Simply Victor Music.
Asking am I
Written by Simply Victor Music. That's the word I was thinking of.
no love? I hear many voices in my head saying things ain't gonna end. When I sit and stare right at the wall, feels like life ain't fair at all. That's when I hear a voice deep down inside saying it's gonna be alright. 'Cause you said, don't be discouraged. I'm right here standing by your side. You said, I love you no matter rain or shine. I will be your guide. Your love, something about your love that's different in my life. Your love, I won't do it, but you still stay right by my side.
No, I'm going to tweet the song a little bit later on, not now.
No longer feeling insecure. Know that I've been made for more. I can't
Okay, shouts going out there to Godfrey up there in Kilburn.
live my life the
Keep saying that. He doesn't actually live in Kilburn, so just in case anybody's wondering. But you know what I mean, right?
I've made.
And it calls Lady Dorothy.
So many
Shouts going out there to my brother, Mr. Leroy Brown.
always
We were reminiscing, my brother.
tried, but your love,
Much love going out there to you. And it calls La Familia.
religion, it is real, and it's changed the way I feel. 'Cause you said, don't be discouraged. I'm right here standing by your side. You said, I love you no matter rain or shine. I will be your guide. Your love,
It's such a great summertime sound. Hope Godwin, alongside the outfit known as Simply Victor Music. I think I'm gonna have a word with him and see if he can get me on the books, you know. He's got to have something that fits my voice, you know. If he hasn't, he better start looking, right? So we got our Bible reading coming up in about 3 or so minutes time. I think I'll be able to sneak. Can I sneak another one in? Yeah. I'll be able to sneak one more in. I'm gonna play Sarah Tabo, I think, next year. Shouts going out there to Sarah Tabo. Sarah Tabo Music. She really is a one-woman production and management team. Shouts going out there to her. This one is available to stream in all those good places that you stream your music from. We always want people to go out there and purchase, buy, stream. Gotta support our artists, right? Sarah Tabo alongside Taniki, Safe in You. This will take us right up to our Bible reading, then the news, then I'll be back.
On a windy road that's never ending, life is filled with such uncertainty, and with dangers that sometimes I can't see, but I'm not shaken when the waters rise. I run to you. Covered by the night, I look to you. Never on my own, far away from home. Not afraid because I'm safe in you. See, I know the one who holds my hand. He will carry me right to the end. On his promises, that's where I stand. Nothing can harm me. When the waters rise, I run to you. Covered by the night, I look to you. Never on my own, far from home, far away from home. No, not afraid because.
So we continue our daily Bible reading. We are in the book of Acts. I pray that you are blessed as we read, share, and digest God's word.
Paul looked straight at the Sanhedrin and said,
My brothers, I have fulfilled my duty to God in all good conscience to this day.
At this, the high priest Ananias ordered those standing near Paul to strike him on the mouth. Then Paul said to him,
God will strike you, you whitewashed wall. You sit there to judge me according to the law, yet you yourself violate the law by commanding that I be struck.
Those who were standing near Paul said,
How dare you insult God's high priest?
Paul replied,
Brothers, I did not realize that he was the high priest, for it is written, do not speak evil about the ruler of your people.
Then Paul, knowing that some of them were Sadducees and the others Pharisees, called out in the Sanhedrin,
My brothers, I am a Pharisee, descended from Pharisees. I stand on trial because of the hope of the resurrection of the dead.
When he said this, a dispute broke out between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the assembly was divided. The Sadducees say that there is no resurrection, and that there are neither angels nor spirits. But the Pharisees believe all these things. There was a great uproar, and some of the teachers of the law who were Pharisees stood up and argued vigorously.
We find nothing wrong with this man. What if a spirit or an angel has spoken to him?
The dispute became so violent that the commander was afraid Paul would be torn to pieces by them. He ordered the troops to go down and take him away from them by force and bring him into the barracks. The following night, the Lord stood near Paul and said,
Take courage. As you have testified about me in Jerusalem, so you must also testify in Rome.
The next morning, the Jews formed a conspiracy and bound themselves with an oath not to eat or drink until they had killed Paul. More than 40 men were involved in this plot. They went to the chief priests and the elders and said,
We have taken a solemn oath not to eat anything until we have killed Paul. Now then, you and the Sanhedrin petition the commander to bring him before you on the pretext of wanting more accurate information about his case. We are ready to kill him before he gets here.
But when the son of Paul's sister heard of this plot, he went into the barracks and told Paul. Then Paul called one of the centurions and said,
Take this young man to the commander. He has something to tell him.
So he took him to the commander. The centurion said,
Paul the prisoner sent for me and asked me to bring this young man to you because he has something to tell you.
The commander took the young man by the hand, drew him aside, and asked,
What is it you want to tell me?
He said,
The Jews have agreed to ask you to bring Paul before the Sanhedrin tomorrow on the pretext of wanting more accurate information about him. Don't give in to them, because more than 40 of them are waiting in ambush for him. They've taken an oath not to eat or drink until they have killed him. They're ready now, waiting for your consent to their request.
The commander dismissed the young man with this warning.
Don't tell anyone that you have reported this to me.
Then he called 2 of his centurions and ordered them,
Get ready a detachment of 200 soldiers, 70 horsemen, and 200 spearmen to go to Caesarea at 9 tonight. Provide horses for Paul so that he may be taken safely to Governor Felix.
He wrote a letter as follows.
Claudius Lysias, to His Excellency Governor Felix, greetings. This man was seized by the Jews and they were about to kill him, but I came with my troops and rescued him, for I had learned that he was a Roman citizen. I wanted to know why they were accusing him, so I brought him to their Sanhedrin. I found that their accusation had to do with questions about their law, but there was no charge against him that deserved death or imprisonment. When I was informed of a plot to be carried out against the man, I sent him to you at once. I also ordered his accusers to present to you their case against him.
So the soldiers, carrying out their orders, took Paul with them during the night and brought him as far as Antipatris. The next day they let the cavalry go on with him, while they returned to the barracks. When the cavalry arrived in Caesarea, they delivered the letter to the governor and handed Paul over to him. The governor read the letter and asked what province he was from. Learning that he was from Cilicia, he said,
I will hear your case when your accusers get here.
Then he ordered that Paul be kept under guard in Herod's palace. 5 days later, the high priest Ananias went down to Caesarea with some of the elders and a lawyer named Tertullus, and they brought their charges against Paul before the governor. When Paul was called in, Tertullus presented his case before Felix.
We have enjoyed a long period of peace under you, and your foresight has brought about reforms in this nation everywhere and in every way, most excellent Felix. We acknowledge this. with profound gratitude. But in order not to weary you further, I would request that you be kind enough to hear us briefly. We have found this man to be a troublemaker, stirring up riots among the Jews all over the world. He's a ringleader of the Nazarene sect and even tried to desecrate the temple. So we seized him. By examining him yourself, you will be able to learn the truth about all these charges we are bringing against him.
The other Jews joined in the accusation, asserting that these things were true. When the governor motioned for him to speak, Paul replied,
I know that for a number of years you have been a judge over this nation, so I gladly make my defense. You can easily verify that no more than 12 days ago I went up to Jerusalem to worship. My accusers did not find me arguing with anyone at the temple, or stirring up a crowd in the synagogues, or anywhere else in the city. And they cannot prove to you the charges they are now making against me. However, I admit that I worship the God of our ancestors as a follower of the way, which they call a sect. I believe everything that is in accordance with the law and that is written in the prophets, and I have the same hope in God as these people themselves have, that there will be a resurrection of both the righteous and the wicked. So I strive always to keep my conscience clear before God and all people. After an absence of several years, I came to Jerusalem to bring my people gifts for the poor and to present offerings. I was ceremonial clean when they found me in the temple courts doing this. There was no crowd with me, nor was I involved in any disturbance. But there are some Jews from the province of Asia who ought to be here before you and bring charges if they have anything against me. Or these who are here should state what crime they found in me when I stood before the Sanhedrin. Unless it was this one thing I shouted as I stood in their presence. It is concerning the resurrection of the dead that I am on trial before you today.
Then Felix, who was well acquainted with the way, adjourned the proceedings.
When Lysias the commander comes,
he said,
I will decide your case.
He ordered the centurion to keep Paul under guard, but to give him some freedom and permit his friends to take care of his needs. Several days later, Felix came with his wife Drusilla, who was Jewish. He sent for Paul and listened to him as he spoke about faith in Christ Jesus. As Paul talked about righteousness, self-control, and the judgment to come, Felix was afraid and said,
That's enough for now. You may leave. When I find it convenient, I will send for you.
At the same time, he was hoping that Paul would offer him a bribe, so he sent for him frequently and talked with him. When 2 years had passed, Felix was succeeded by Porcius Festus. But because Felix wanted to grant a favor to the Jews, he left Paul in prison. After arriving in the province, Festus went up from Caesarea to Jerusalem, where the chief priests and the Jewish leaders appeared before him and presented the charges against Paul. They requested Festus, as a favor to them, to have Paul transferred to Jerusalem, for they were preparing an ambush to kill him along the way. Festus answered,
Paul is being held at Caesarea, and I myself am going there soon. Let some of your leaders come with me, and if the man has done anything wrong, they can press charges against him there.
After spending 8 or 10 days with them, Festus went down to Caesarea. The next day he convened the court and ordered that Paul be brought before him. When Paul came in, the Jews who had come down from Jerusalem stood around him. They brought many serious charges against him, but they could not prove them. Then Paul made his defense.
I have done nothing wrong against the Jewish law, or against the temple, or against Caesar.
Festus, wishing to do the Jews a favor, said to Paul,
Are you willing to go up to Jerusalem and stand trial before me there on these charges?
Paul answered,
I am now standing before Caesar's court, where I ought to be tried. I have not done any wrong to the Jews, as you yourself know very well. If, however, I am guilty of doing anything deserving death, I do not refuse to die. But if the charges brought against me by these Jews are not true, no one has the right to hand me over to them. I appeal to Caesar.
After Festus had conferred with his council, he declared,
Well, you have appealed to Caesar. To Caesar you will go.
A few days later, King Agrippa and Bernice arrived at Caesarea to pay their respects to Festus. Since they were spending many days there, Festus discussed Paul's case with the king. He said,
There is a man here whom Felix left as a prisoner. When I went to Jerusalem, the chief priests and the elders of the Jews brought charges against him and asked that he be condemned. I told them that it is not the Roman custom to hand over anyone before they have faced their accusers and have had an opportunity to defend themselves against the charges. When they came here with me, I did not delay the case, but convened the court the next day and ordered the man to be brought in. When his accusers got up to speak, they did not charge him with any of the crimes I had expected. Instead, they had some points of dispute with him about their own religion and about a dead man named Jesus who Paul claimed was alive. I was at a loss how to investigate such matters. So I asked if he would be willing to go to Jerusalem and stand trial there on these charges. But when Paul made his appeal to be held over for the emperor's decision, I ordered him held until I could send him to Caesar.
Then Agrippa said to Festus,
I would like to hear this man myself.
He replied,
Tomorrow, you will hear him.
The next day, Agrippa and Bernice came with great pomp and entered the audience room with the high-ranking military officers and the prominent men of the city. At the command of Festus, Paul was brought in. Festus said,
King Agrippa, and all who are present with us, you see this man. The whole Jewish community has petitioned me about him in Jerusalem and here in Caesarea, shouting that he ought not to live any longer. I found he had done nothing deserving of death, but because he made his appeal to the emperor, I decided to send him to Rome. But I have nothing definite to write to His Majesty about him. Therefore, I have brought him before all of you, and especially before you, King Agrippa, so that as a result of this investigation, I may have something to write. For I think it is unreasonable to send a prisoner on to Rome without specifying the charges against him.
You have permission to speak for yourself.
So Paul motioned with his hand and began his defense.
King Agrippa, I consider myself fortunate to stand before you today as I make my defense against all the accusations of the Jews, and especially so because you are well acquainted with all the Jewish customs and controversies. Therefore, I beg you to listen to me patiently. The Jewish people all know the way I have lived ever since I was a child, from the beginning of my life in my own country and also in Jerusalem. They have known me for a long time and can testify, if they are willing, that I conform to the strictest sect of our religion, living as a Pharisee. And now it is because of my hope in what God has promised our ancestors that I am on trial today. This is the promise our 12 tribes are hoping to see fulfilled as they earnestly serve God day and night. King Agrippa, it is because of this hope that the Jews are accusing me. Why should any of you consider it incredible that God raises the dead? I, too, was convinced that I ought to do all that was possible to oppose the name of Jesus of Nazareth. And that is just what I did in Jerusalem. On the authority of the chief priests, I put many of the Lord's people in prison, and when they were put to death, I cast my vote against them. Many a time I went from one synagogue to another to have them punished, and I tried to force them to blaspheme. I was so obsessed with persecuting them that I even hunted them down in foreign cities. On one of these journeys, I was going to Damascus with the authority and commission of the chief priests. About noon, King Agrippa, as I was on the road, I saw a light from heaven, brighter than the sun, blazing around me and my companions. We all fell to the ground, and I heard a voice saying to me in Aramaic, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? It is hard for you to kick against the goads." Then I asked, "Who are you, Lord?" "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting," the Lord replied. "Now get up and stand on your feet. I have appeared to you to appoint you as a servant and as a witness of what you have seen and will see of me. I will rescue you from your own people and from the Gentiles. I am sending you to them to open their eyes and turn them from darkness to light, and from the power of Satan to God, so that they may receive forgiveness of sins and a place among those who are sanctified by faith in me. So then, King Agrippa, I was not disobedient to the vision from heaven. First to those in Damascus, then to those in Jerusalem, and in all Judea. And then to the Gentiles I preached that they should repent and turn to God, and demonstrate their repentance by their deeds. That is why some Jews seized me in the temple courts and tried to kill me. But God has helped me to this very day. So I stand here and testify to small and great alike. I am saying nothing beyond what the prophets and Moses said would happen. That the Messiah would suffer, and as the first to rise from the dead, would bring the message of light to his own people and to the Gentiles.
At this point, Festus interrupted Paul's defense.
You are out of your mind, Paul. Your great learning is driving you insane.
I am not insane, most excellent Festus. What I am saying is true and reasonable. The king is familiar with these things, and I can speak freely to him. I am convinced that none of this has escaped his notice, because it was not done in a corner. King Agrippa, do you believe the prophets? I know you do.
Then Agrippa said to Paul,
"Do you think that in such a short time you can persuade me to be a Christian?"
Paul replied,
"Short time or long. I pray to God that not only you, but all who are listening to me today may become what I am, except for these chains."
The king rose, and with him the governor and Bernice and those sitting with them. After they left the room, they began saying to one another,
"This man is not doing anything that deserves death or imprisonment."
Agrippa said to Festus,
"This man could have been set free if he had not
when
appealed
it was
to
decided
Caesar."
that we would sail for Italy, Paul and some other prisoners were handed over to a centurion named Julius, who belonged to the imperial regiment. We boarded a ship from Adramyttium about to sail for ports along the coast of the province of Asia, and we put out to sea. Aristarchus, a Macedonian from Thessalonica, was with us. The next day we landed at Sidon, and Julius, in kindness to Paul, allowed him to go to his friends so they might provide for his needs. From there we put out to sea again and passed to the lee of Cyprus because the winds were against us. When we had sailed across the open sea off the coast of Cilicia and Pamphylia, we landed at Myra and Lycia. There the centurion found an Alexandrian ship sailing for Italy and put us on board. We made slow headway for many days and had difficulty arriving off Cnidus. When the wind did not allow us to hold our course, we sailed to the lee of Crete, opposite Salmone. We moved along the coast with difficulty and came to a place called Fair Havens, near the town of Lasea. Much time had been lost, and sailing had already become dangerous because by now it was after the Day of Atonement. So Paul warned them,
"Men, I can see that our voyage is going to be disastrous and bring great loss to ship and cargo, and to our own lives also."
But the centurion, instead of listening to what Paul said, followed the advice of the pilot and of the owner of the ship. Since the harbor was unsuitable to winter in, the majority decided that we should sail on, hoping to reach Phoenix and winter there. This was a harbor in Crete facing both southwest and northwest. When a gentle south wind began to blow, they saw their opportunity. So they weighed anchor and sailed along the shore of Crete. Before very long, a wind of hurricane force called the Northeaster swept down from the island. The ship was caught by the storm and could not head into the wind. So we gave way to it and were driven along. As we passed to the lee of a small island called Cauda, we were hardly able to make the lifeboat secure, so the men hoisted it aboard. Then they passed ropes under the ship itself to hold it together. Because they were afraid they would run aground on the sandbars of Syrtis, they lowered the sea anchor and let the ship be driven along. We took such a violent battering from the storm that the next day they began to throw the cargo overboard. On the third day, they threw the ship's tackle overboard with their own hands. When neither sun nor stars appeared for many days and the storm continued raging, we finally gave up all hope of being saved. After they had gone a long time without food, Paul stood up before them and said,
"Men, you should have taken my advice not to sail from Crete. then you would have spared yourselves this damage and loss. But now I urge you to keep up your courage, because not one of you will be lost. Only the ship will be destroyed. Last night, an angel of the God whose I am and whom I serve stood beside me and said, "Do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand trial before Caesar, and God has graciously given you the lives of all who sail with you. So keep up your courage, men, for I have faith in God that it will happen just as he told me. Nevertheless, we must run aground on some island."
On the 14th night, we were still being driven across the Adriatic Sea, when about midnight the sailors sensed they were approaching land. They took soundings and found that the water was 120 feet deep. A short time later, they took soundings again and found it was 90 feet deep. Fearing that we would be dashed against the rocks, they dropped 4 anchors from the stern and prayed for daylight. In an attempt to escape from the ship, the sailors let the lifeboat down into the sea, pretending they were going to lower some anchors from the bow. Then Paul said to the centurion and the soldiers,
"Unless these men stay with the ship, you cannot be saved."
So the soldiers cut the ropes that held the lifeboat and let it drift away. Just before dawn, Paul urged them all to eat.
"For the last 14 days, you have been in constant suspense and have gone without food. You haven't eaten anything. Now I urge you to take some food. You need it to survive. Not one of you will lose a single hair from his head."
After he said this, he took some bread and gave thanks to God in front of them all. Then he broke it and began to eat. They were all encouraged and ate some food themselves. Altogether, there were 276 of us on board. When they had eaten as much as they wanted, they lightened the ship by throwing the grain into the sea. When daylight came, they did not recognize the land, but they saw a bay with a sandy beach, where they decided to run the ship aground if they could. Cutting loose the anchors, they left them in the sea and at the same time untied the ropes that held the rudders. Then they hoisted the foresail to the wind and made for the beach. But the ship struck a sandbar and ran aground. The bow struck fast and would not move, and the stern was broken to pieces by the pounding of the surf. The soldiers planned to kill the prisoners to prevent any of them from swimming away and escaping. But the centurion wanted to spare Paul's life and kept them from carrying out their plan. He ordered those who could swim to jump overboard first and get to land. The rest were to get there on planks or on other pieces of the ship. In this way, everyone reached land safely. We found out that the island was called Malta. The islanders showed us unusual kindness. They built a fire and welcomed us all because it was raining and cold. Paul gathered a pile of brushwood and, as he put it on the fire, a viper, driven out by the heat, fastened itself on his hand. When the islanders saw the snake hanging from his hand, they said to each other,
"This man must be a murderer. For though he escaped from the sea, the goddess Justice has not allowed him to live."
But Paul shook the snake off into the fire and suffered no ill effects. The people expected him to swell up or suddenly fall dead. But after waiting a long time and seeing nothing unusual happen to him, they changed their minds and said he was a god. There was an estate nearby that belonged to Publius, the chief official of the island. He welcomed us to his home and showed us generous hospitality for 3 days. His father was sick in bed, suffering from fever and dysentery. Paul went in to see him and, after prayer, placed his hands on him and healed him. When this had happened, the rest of the sick on the island came and were cured. They honored us in many ways, and when we were ready to sail, they furnished us with the supplies we needed. After 3 months, we put out to sea in a ship that had wintered in the island. It was an Alexandrian ship with the figurehead of the twin gods Castor and Pollux. We put in at Syracuse and stayed there 3 days. From there, we set sail and arrived at Rhegium. The next day, the south wind came up, and on the following day, we reached Puteoli. There, we found some believers who invited us to spend a week with them, and so we came to Rome. The believers there had heard that we were coming, and they traveled as far as the Forum of Appius and the 3 taverns to meet us. At the sight of these people, Paul thanked God and was encouraged. When we got to Rome, Paul was allowed to live by himself, with a soldier to guard him. 3 days later, he called together the local Jewish leaders. When they had assembled, Paul said to them,
My brothers, although I have done nothing against our people or against the customs of our ancestors, I was arrested in Jerusalem and handed over to the Romans. They examined me and wanted to release me because I was not guilty of any crime deserving death. The Jews objected, so I was compelled to make an appeal to Caesar. I certainly did not intend to bring any charge against my own people. For this reason, I have asked to see you and talk with you. It is because of the hope of Israel that I am bound with this chain.
They replied,
We have not received any letters from Judea concerning you, and none of our people who have come from there has reported or said anything bad about you. But we want to hear what your views are, for we know that people everywhere are talking against this sect.
They arranged to meet Paul on a certain day and came in even larger numbers to the place where he was staying. He witnessed to them from morning till evening, explaining about the kingdom of God. And from the law of Moses and from the prophets, he tried to persuade them about Jesus. Some were convinced by what he said, but others would not believe. They disagreed among themselves and began to leave after Paul had made this final statement.
The Holy Spirit spoke the truth to your ancestors when he said through Isaiah the prophet, Go to this people and say, You will be ever hearing, but never understanding. You will be ever seeing, but never perceiving. For this people's heart has become calloused. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise, they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn. And I would heal them. Therefore, I want you to know that God's salvation has been sent to the Gentiles, and they will listen.
For 2 whole years, Paul stayed there in his own rented house and welcomed all who came to see him. He proclaimed the kingdom of God and taught about the Lord Jesus Christ with all boldness and without hindrance.
Inspired by the Bible Experience.
So that indeed was our Bible reading. Looks like we've come to the end of the book of Acts. That's pretty good going, isn't it? Ooh. So up next we've got the news. We've got some public service announcements, some partner information, and additional announcements, and then we're going to be right back to the music.
Stay at least 2 meters away from people if you do have to go out.
It's not such a difficult thing. Do it.
That's the UK government's message to keep us apart so we don't catch or spread the coronavirus. But unless you're 2 meters tall, it can be hard to know what that looks like without a measuring tape. It's about 3 steps. So, 1, 2, 3. Enough space so that you can put a bed between you. Or 2 shopping trolleys, or any of these people. Or, if you were holding a broom, you shouldn't be able to touch anyone with it. That's all fine in theory, but how does that look in the real world? Well, if you're in the street, it's about half a parking space. If you're in a park or the countryside, it's about 2 regular benches. If you're exercising, you may have to come off the path or cross the road. But hey, that all adds to the exercise, right? And on public transport, don't sit in the same row. Make sure you've got space in front and behind you. In an office, you need to be about 4 desk chairs apart. And when shopping, don't queue close together.
Many shops have rules on how many people can be inside at any one time to ensure you keep that gap. But if you do have to queue outside, make sure you still keep that 2-metre distance. If you're getting a delivery, have them leave it on the doorstep. And if you're still not sure whether you're keeping enough distance, then add a bit more. Or see if you can hit them with a broom.
Labour is calling for people with coronavirus in care homes to be moved to general wards in hospitals, which are currently empty. The latest figures from the 10th of April say 1,043 people had died from the virus in care homes in England and Wales, although ministers have admitted that number is inaccurate. The Shadow Health Secretary, John Ashworth, says the government urgently needs to pull together a detailed plan for the sector.
If you've got residents in care homes who are coming down in COVID-19, why not move them into some of these empty beds in hospitals? We think there are thousands of empty general and acute beds in hospitals. Let's use those empty general and acute beds for residents from care homes, because if we don't do that, we're going to see the death rates continue to increase in care homes, and that is shattering for so many families.
The Social Care Minister, Helen Whately, says she was really worried about the deaths in care homes, but that a huge amount of work was going on to try to manage and prevent outbreaks there. An RAF plane has arrived from Turkey carrying thousands of items of personal protective equipment for NHS staff. The government said it was working really hard to get supplies to frontline staff, but there was a global shortage. The leader of a team of British scientists trying to develop a vaccine has said he's very confident one will be found. Professor Robin Shattuck from Imperial College in London said as long as the virus remained relatively stable, vaccines would work. His team are appealing for volunteers to take part in trials due to start in June. The Spanish Prime Minister is calling for Parliament to approve a 2-week extension to the national lockdown. Spain has the second highest death rate in Europe, with more than 21,000 recorded. Guy Hedgecoe reports from Madrid.
Today, Congress is expected to approve Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's proposal to extend the measure by 2 weeks until May the 10th. However, it's not clear whether the lockdown will be extended again. There's lively debate over how and when restrictions should be lifted in Spain, especially as the virus's impact appears to have stabilised over the last 2 weeks. Last week, some industries were allowed to return to work. From this Sunday, children will be allowed to leave their homes for the first time in 6 weeks, although only to take short walks accompanied by adults.
A pensioner from Swansea is celebrating his 90th birthday today after recovering from coronavirus. Brian Davis had been put on end-of-life care and his family were allowed a last 15-minute visit. His wife Shirley says his recovery's been amazing.
I said my goodbyes and said goodbye for the family. And we came home and we were literally thinking about his funeral. And then on the Friday night, phone call to say he is now eating ice cream. And from then on, he's just been coming on in leaps and bounds.
Hi, Rec family and friends. As you know, we're dealing with this virus that's gone around, and you know the government has asked that all churches to be closed at this time. So we want to be sensitive to what we've been asked to do. Now, however, if you want to connect with us, you can still do this by social media. Please try everything you can to connect with us. Also, we're going to try our best that if you call our office, we'll direct your calls to different leaders, and if you can get prayer and help whichever way you need. Do not allow the enemy to put you in a depression. We're going to get through this. God is in control. So stay in touch. And let me tell you something. If you want to still give to the ministry, we're going to make sure you can be able to give and help support the vision of the church. And I tell you something, the gates of hell will not prevail against our church. God bless you. Let's stay together and let's keep praying. Prayer changes everything.
We just wanted to let all our Ruach partners and friends know that our Koinonia Food Bank is still operating. Although our locations are closed as we adhere to the COVID-19 restrictions, We are still working hard to ensure that those who are experiencing financial hardship and difficulty are provided with food parcels to keep them going in these challenging times. For more than 20 years, Ruach City Church has provided this necessary service to our partners, congregation, and members of the community, and we will continue to keep our Koinonia Food Bank open as long as we can keep it stocked. If you are struggling and you would like to receive a food parcel, we are here to help. Receiving a Koinonia food parcel is simple. Call the Ruach office on 0208-678-6888 or visit our website at www.ruachcitychurch.org or email us at admin@ruachcitychurch.org. The Bible says that if one part of the body suffers, the whole body suffers. We are one body, so if you need groceries, please let us know.
So just to reiterate those messages, Ruach City Church, our phone lines remain open, our spiritual doors remain open to receive all those who need help. Remember, the number that you need is 0208-678-6888. Alternatively, why don't you go over to the Ruach City Church website? It's got loads of information on there about the classes and all the things that we're doing online and the events that we're still hosting. So go over and have a look at that. As you can see on the screen, kind of like highlighting the Kingdom Conversations. It's a series of talks that Bishop is putting together with some of the more influential men and I believe women of God. And if you want to find out more about the Kingdom Conversations, and indeed you want to find out exactly what's happening in Ruach City Church in terms of our events, Sunday service, Bible study, etc., 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 just go over to YouTube. I prefer YouTube, in all fairness. I know a lot of people are on Facebook, but if you go over to YouTube on Ruach City Church, Ruach City Church's channel, you will then find you'll find the Kingdom Conversations, and you'll go back, the back archive. It's all back there as well. So if you want to go way, 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 way back a few years ago, then you can do that. Remember to subscribe as well while you're having a look. And the last thing I want to talk about, well, second to last thing actually, is of course Bible study. We know Ruach City Church, every Wednesday is Bible study. And we got Bible study at 8 o'clock. The title of that Bible study is called Border Patrol. Sounds really interesting, doesn't it? So again, you can enjoy us via Facebook. As I said, my preferred method of consumption is YouTube. And of course on the Ruach City Church app and on the Ruach City Church website. And the last thing I want to talk about is, there are partners that help me in the background to do what I'm going to do. And I'm highlighting certain ones that just contribute tirelessly to my insatiable demands. Shouts going out there to Koya 8, or my brother Koya of Koya 8 Designs. If you're thinking of getting yourself an up-to-date, snazzy website, some great logos, then he's the guy that you need to reach out to. If you can't get hold of him direct, then please feel free to filter your requests through me and I will pass it on. He's absolutely amazing, does a lot of stuff out there in the music industry as well. So if you're looking to have something designed, then he is the guy that you need to have. So we're getting ready for the Soul Food Show Record of the Week. And as you know, that Soul Food Record of the Week, or my artist this week, is Samuel Bella, and the track is called In Your Fullness. I said, watch this young man. I believe he's one to watch.
Soul Food Show Record of the Week.
Gotta send shouts going out to Sam Bella, all the Light London crew. Shouts going out there to Positive M. What a diamond you have in this young man. Come on, let's worship our God together.
Come like you promised, pour your spirit on us.
can say is the more I hear this song, the more I begin to fall in love with it. Glory, 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 Avios. Gonna play this one by Jokia. This one is causing a storm at the moment. Track called Yahweh. Got quite a few people inboxing me saying, you know what, DJ Val, this song's good, man.
Love came rushing in, so fear couldn't have me. I thought about giving up, but wanting what you promised me. In the beginning, you breathed on me to establish purpose in me. Yeah. Then it's when you spoke to me and told me to walk and believe. Yeah. And who do you say I am? Lead me to still waters, lead me to your altar, Yahweh, Yahweh. That's what I call you. Lead me to still waters, lead me to your altar, Yahweh, Yahweh. And you I believe. Love came rushing in, so fear couldn't have me. I thought about giving up, but watching what you promised me. In the beginning, you breathed on me to establish purpose in me. Yeah. And then it's when you spoke to me and told me to walk and believe. Yeah. And who do you say I am? That's what he said to me. Yeah. And who do you say I am? Lead me to still waters and lead me to your altar, Yahweh, Yahweh. That's what I call you. Lead me to still waters and lead me to your altar, Yahweh, Yahweh. In you I believe. Tearing down altars that don't look like you, Jesus. Tearing down altars built on false beliefs. 'Cause I put my trust in Yahweh. 'Cause I give my yes to Yahweh. Tearing down altars that don't look like you, Jesus. Tearing down altars built on false beliefs. 'Cause I put my trust in Yahweh. 'Cause I give my yes to Yahweh. My yes, my yes, my yes, my yes, say Yahweh, Yahweh. That's what I call you. Hey, yeah, Yahweh, Yahweh. In you I believe. Lead me to still waters, lead me to your altar, Yahweh, Yahweh. Oh, I believe.
Guess it's hard to make this song record of the week for next week, right? I played the legs off it already, right? Super sounding Jokia. Track called Yahweh. Tell you what, there's lots of great gospel music out there. It's your boy DJ Val. I am bridging the gap. I'm trying to take care of you during this difficult time. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. So this is another one as well that is kind of like been on my personal jukebox on repeat.
God is a way maker.
He sure is a way maker. Jamelia Richardson.
He will do just what he said. My God is a way maker. Oh, and he will do just what he said. He makes a way out of no way. And
want to say good afternoon to Venetia Hall. God bless you, Miss Hall. Shouts going out there to Pastor Makita. Lots of love from the United Kingdom, all the way out there to Trinidad and Tobago. You guys need to jump ship, you know. You know what's going to happen about past, right? So let's telegraph. I am going to be having my brother, Mr. Shean Roberts. And the reason why I got him coming on the stream is because he's an absolute genius when it comes to kind of like online streaming and video and anything to do with video production. And you know, there's a lot of people at home now who are trying to get it and trying to get it right, okay? So hopefully he's going to give you a few ideas if he doesn't go too far down the rabbit hole, because he's really, really, you know, he knows his business, you know. As they say, he knows his potatoes. And, you know, he'll also be kind of like looking at easier solutions for you if you are thinking about having an online presence. And to be honest, I think now is you know, there is no better time for you to say to yourself, if you've been thinking about doing something online, I would say start doing it now, you know. I'm going to be calling him all in about 5 or 6 minutes. So I think about it, and hopefully we'll be able to share thoughts, ideas, share a little bit about some of the things that, you know, the challenges that have happened, you know, for him doing what he was doing to, you know, 5-6 weeks ago we were having normal services and we were just streaming like how we were normally streaming, and now we've kind of like had to remodify and rejig our position and do things a bit different. So you know, our mission is always to try and help people, so we don't want to keep all this knowledge and keep it to ourselves. And he has I asked him and he said yeah, so he's going to come on and hopefully we're going to talk a little bit about, you know, cameras, technology, streaming. You know, don't get lost, just stick with it, because as I said, you know, if you're doing something in a physical space, then there's a good possibility you will need to learn how to do it in a virtual space. Amen. Out to Anita Francis, thank you so much for turning me on to this young lady. Great if we could hopefully when the quarantine's lifted, maybe she'll be able to come over for some kind of event or something like that. The also talented Jamelia Richardson on the Soul Food Show. Now we found this one actually. I'm going to send shouts going out there to Positive M. She dug this one up. It's by a guy called John Bidden. It's called The Secret Place.
Call your name out from the valley. You come. And when I call your name out from the hills, you come. I wanna be where you are, 'cause you are where I am. I wanna be where you are, 'cause you are where I am. Yeah. Oh, when I call your name out from the valley, yeah. You come. When I call your name out from the hills, Yahweh, my you come. Said I wanna be where you are. Oh, you are where I am. You are where I am. I wanna be where you are. You are where I am. Said those who dwell in the secret Sing those who dwell
in the secret place. Those who dwell in the secret place
shall abide
under the shadow of the Almighty.
Say, I will dwell in the secret place. I will dwell in the secret place. I will dwell in the secret place. I will abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Say, we will dwell in the secret place. We will dwell in the secret place. We will dwell in the secret place. We will abide in the secret place. In the secret place. The Almighty. We will dwell in the secret place. We will dwell in the secret place. Say, we will dwell in the secret place. We will abide under the shadow of the Almighty. We will dwell in the secret place. You shall cover me with your feathers, and your wings will I trust in you. We will dwell in the secret place. For you are with us. Your rod and your staff, they comfort us. We will dwell in the secret place. You're my shield, you're my butler. We will dwell in the secret place. I will not be afraid of the terror by night, nor the arrow by day. Under the shadow of the Almighty. 1,000 shall fall at my side, and 10,000 at my right hand, but you shall not come nigh unto me.
Gotta say, I really, really, really like that song, Joe Bidham. Secret Place.
Most high Yahweh.
So, you know, everybody can hear you, right? I do have Mr. Shean Roberts. He is on the stream. Shean, how you doing, sir?
I'm not too bad.
Good.
Hi.
Good. Welcome to the Soul Food Show. Welcome
Thank
to
you, sir.
Ruach
Thank
Radio. Welcome to everything. It's amazing, right? You know, you were saying that you've never really been on radio before, right?
No. The last time I think I was doing anything to do with the radio, I think I was playing on it, was back in the day with a presenter called Charlie Noble. But many, many moons ago, and there was only one of that particular station, which I shan't mention.
Oh, no. It's okay. You can mention the name. It's all right.
I can actually,
Yeah.
Premier was only one station there. One station. There was not Premier Gospel or Premier Praise and all that stuff. It was just one station. So, yes, this is officially my first radio interview, which I'm exceptionally excited and nervous at the same time.
That's very well put, you know, spoken like a true politician and true diplomat that you are. So we've got Mr. Roberts, who's your title is your head of Ruach Sound Vision Productions.
Yeah, it's Ruach Sound and Video Production, where we look after all the audio visual needs of Ruach City Church, and so really the correct terminology is head of production, because it's like anything to do with the producing of anything behind the scenes, basically. I think that can kind of encompass it.
Well, there you go, Mr. Head of Production. I didn't know that. I'll be referring to you that way around next time we come on. But I mean, we joke about it, but that is an immense job that you actually do. It's not, like, I sit at home and kind of like mess around with a couple of laptops. I mean, for all the active people who are coming through Ruach City Church doors now, in particular, the online presence has made things go up quite a bit. And, you are the guy that, makes or breaks us, right?
Yeah, it's an awesome job to have. It's an awesome position to be in. It is very you have to be responsible because it's not just managing the technical aspects. It's also, people without people, there's no point in technology being there because we operate the technology, and literally, so behind every bit of technology there is somebody there driving it, managing it, looking after it, and they've taken time out to learn the skills they need in order to operate a particular piece of machinery, whether it be cameras, whether it be desks, mixing desks, audio desks, vision mixing desks, whether it be duplicating, whether it be kind of telling people on the stage when to go, when not to go. It's a very tech-driven industry and a tech-driven role.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it is. When you said the training, the first thing that sprung to mind, because a lot of people don't know anything at all about a lot of things that I do and stuff like that. I was even joking with someone. I said, my original radio show started around 7 years ago, and they went, "What? It's not. That can't be right." But yeah, it kind of did. But we go back to 1997, 98, I think, when I first kind of like met you, and I was handed over to you very unceremoniously by somebody that goes, "Yeah, you like music, don't you?" I said, "Well, yeah." He goes, "Right, you're with the sound people." So and that was it. And I often joke. I said, I don't know if he was hearing from God or not, or he just put two and two together and thought, well, this guy likes a little bit of music. But I was just kind of like left there to be part of the sound team. And then you were kind of like the head then, weren't you? And yeah, your job was to train me. So really, you had a lot to do with a lot of what's happened, to me later on, because I think that's where the I kind of like got bit by it was overwhelming, but I got bit by the bug, and once I did, that was it. I just kind of like thought, okay, you keep going along. So thank you very much indeed, because you took a little bit of time out, and you have to give credit where credit is due, because people see people, and it's so easy, they don't understand the relationship and the dynamic. And I tell you, that's one thing about you. I know we're going to get all techie and we're going to talk about your history, but one of the things about you, and I'm not just saying it, and I think I've always said it to you, I said you're one of the nicest people you could ever bump into, and that is the truth.
You make me blush.
But no, I tell you why it works really well is because you said the most valuable thing is the people. It's the souls. And what you do is you foster that really good relationship by being just generally a pretty, genial, lighthearted, open and welcoming kind of person. You know what I mean? Sometimes maybe to your detriment, because, you'll spend a bit of time doing stuff with people. But, and I think that's why people tend to gravitate towards what you do. So if anybody doesn't know it, I'm telling you, I've known you for, 20 odd years. I can say that's a consistent thing about you, is that welcoming way, and, the way that people can gravitate, and your willingness to be able to train people to get them into a position. So, So
thank you so much. I mean, that's lovely to know, and I really appreciate it. I mean, I love. If you don't love people, technology is great, but technology will fail. And people do make mistakes, because technology can sometimes be, 1 minute it's working and the next minute it's not, because there's an update, and you're there panicking, thinking, why is it not working? I just did it the other day, the other week. We have it all the time, where last week it was working. Why is it not working now?
Yeah.
Nobody's touched it.
Yeah.
It's just, but updates happen, which are beyond our control, and things like that happen. Anything could happen in the week. Something gets loose as time goes by. Something gets unplugged, and then, if you're not a comforting voice behind the people who are there to operate it, then they'll go into a panic and think, oh my gosh, I've done something wrong. And it sometimes it's nothing to do with that person doing something wrong. It's got to do with, unfortunately, the technology has let us down. So the biggest thing I've always, I'm an advocate for whatever I do, and I try to help that with RSVP, is fault finding. And just go, okay, hold on, let's just stop for a second. What's gone wrong? I did this right, I did this right, I did that. So what's happening? And then you go back and, do you know what I mean? You go back with a technical mind, looking from A to B. I've got a little thing where, it's like A to B. Check what you've got from the beginning source to the end. Is there anything missing in between? Or what's the weakest link? What's the thing that could have given over without you realizing? And then, you kind of go along that's the chain, the signal chain, and kind of find out what's gone wrong. But,
and not just scream and shout at people, right?
Sorry, say that one more time.
I said, no, not just scream and shout at people.
No, I mean, that doesn't help in any. It doesn't. Sometimes we go into a panic and we forget. We go, oh my gosh, what's happening? And everything's going on. Service is going on. You think, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. But it's not going to help to go into a panic. Sometimes it's better to just take a second, breathe, and go, okay, I need a level head.
Yeah.
What's gone wrong?
Yeah.
What's gone wrong?
I know. Sometimes I've got into a tiz before, you know what I mean? And you've gone, no, just calm down. Just, have a look and see what's going on. It's not working. No, calm down.
Elder, I noticed that you're a little bit modest because you've been doing this a long time. A long time. So, I mean, although DJing, I guess you've been DJing a long time as well, before.
Yeah.
Before. Right?
Yeah. So love of music, DJing, yes. And that's pretty much what it, well, okay, yeah, you never despise small beginnings and what you did, I think, pre-Christ, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. But I think the appetite for sound I got when I joined RSVP.
To the point where I know that you ran your own, not just sound system before church, but you ran your own PA system.
Yeah. I had a little...
And that's amazing. I mean, things like that, encourage me so much because, we go to church and, we go to church, of course, to worship God and to praise Him and everything. But we don't realize that God also imparts into us these things, these gifts.
On. Yeah.
And, you just never know. You're going there to worship God, and He gives back to you in so many different ways. It's unbelievable. I mean, who would ever do it? You went to church, you decided you had a desire to do something with sound because you had experience before. All of a sudden, you've got your own sound system, and you're making money from doing. Because I remember you were telling me about the weddings and things. You're doing stuff. You have your own equipment, and it's amazing.
Look,
it's amazing. I love that.
I didn't, yes, we want to talk tech, but I think people are, as you quite rightly said, it is really important. So here's a kicker with that, because not a lot of people know this. So there was a period of time where I wasn't working, and I can tell you that was the only income I had from hiring out my stuff and working with this band pretty much every week. That was the only cash that I had coming in at one point for about 6 or 7 months in terms of jobs and things like that. And, as I said, I look back and I always say, you know what, I thank God, because I think people can feel they go into church and it's all about, church wants this, church wants that, church wants this, church wants that. And, you really need to see what God is saying to you about the gifts that He's allowing to develop in you while you're serving. And, if we look at you, for example, right, so it's okay, head of, live production, or head of Rex, City Church's live production. But, you've been doing this for a real long time, right? Not to give away your age, but, tell us about kind of like, how you kind of like started and got into.
Right. So I tell you, I don't want to go too far back because it's going to take us a long while. But
you can always come back again. You know, it's my show. It's cool.
Yeah.
You can always come back again. My guests
Listen.
love people that chat. You know what I mean? I chat, so you can chat. Go for it.
So I mean, back in the day, I mean, funny. I've been with Bishop. If I really begin to tell you how this thing started, it was his fault. I'll blame him. It was Bishop John Francis' fault. Why I'm in this tech industry in the first.
Hold on. Oh, he's just messaged us on Facebook. He said, "Shean."
Oh right.
No, I'm joking.
Oh no, don't say that. No. So you know he actually encouraged us. I think so. Let me just go way back when we used to go to tech shows.
Yeah.
And before that, back in the day in White Lion Street, I used to sound engineer for the video because we went to a guy called David. It was years ago. Just these time cameras were not digital. It was all analog. It was all plug and play. It was tape. It was in beta cam tape. It was another level compared to this.
You know, people are listening and they're saying to themselves, "What are you talking about?" You know what I mean?
What are you talking about? What do you mean beta cam?
Beta what?
Yeah, that was the first. That was one of the first digital formats for broadcast. And we've got the M7 camera. Never forget it. And a mate of his, Solomon, who played drums, who was filming, and I was upstairs. Engineering, and that's how I learned how to engineer. When I started to engineer, in fact, even before that, when we done the album, I was a drum tech at first for Nicky Brown.
That's right, because you used to play drums all the time then.
I used, back in the day. Yeah, showing my age. Yeah, so I was a drummer, and I was a drum tech. You know, budding drummer. I set up the drums for Nicky when Inspirational Choir was doing their recording at the church studios in Crouch End.
Yeah.
So Bishop was there. All you know, the Inspirational Choir was like on fire, hot. And not only in the gospel scene, but also in the secular scene. So you had people like George Michael. Getting them. They done Glastonbury. They done. I mean, they toured all around Europe, all around loads of campuses in the UK with regards to like colleges and universities, and they made a real name for themselves. And so after I was engineering at White Lion Street Church, after a while it was like, oh, do you want to go on tour? And I was like really nervous. But I did it. I remember the first tour I did, I cried my eyes out because I couldn't engineer the choir mics properly. But you know, I remember Bishop came out. I think he was an evangelist then. I think then came out, spoke to me. Him and Nicky came out and spoke to me and said, "Come on, you could do it. Just allow it." They would just give me words of encouragement. Just allow the other engineer to help you to sing, set the mics up. You've done a good job, right? And you know, it's learning curves like that really do help you in the future. I mean, now, you know, thank God, I've produced. I was assistant producer for a program on the BBC. I've done TV. I've worked for massive companies, Burberry. I don't even like secular companies, church companies, like Christian organizations and festivals.
Yeah.
I can't even. I really do thank God because He has blessed me like beyond my imagination, beyond. So, but that's a very condensed. And I missed that whole load of that story.
Yeah.
That's why I said Bishop is to blame.
Yeah, that is a very condensed version, but I think we I think we get the idea. You know what I mean? Because you're right. I almost forgot that you were a drummer. You used to. You're the only guy I know that the drum pedal would break or it would stop working, and then you call us over, we'd fix it, and you'd still be playing the drums, and then we slide it back under your feet, and you keep going. And you're always so cool about it as well, you know. So what does he want now? Because the drum pedal, the things come off, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what are we doing? Just put it back together. You know, and you're there.
I'll keep it going.
You're keeping going, man. You're keeping going, keeping calm under drum. I got a lovely message here from Annette Bowen. She said, I love Shean. He's one of my favorite people. He is truly lovely. So see, you go. So that's witness. Two people now say that you're,
sister.
yeah, you know, two people say that, yeah, you know, you're a great guy. So yeah. So all right. So and you had your own production company, or you still have, I should say, your own production company.
Yeah, it's not so active now because Barack does
take over all the time. Yeah.
But yeah, I did. I've had my own production for a number of years. Taylor Production, done lots of different live events. In fact, I was speaking with John Fisher.
Oh, IDMC's John Fisher. Yep.
IDMC.
Yep.
I did his first video back in 2003.
Whoa.
We had a crane. We had a crane. We had like 4 or 5 cameras. And I vision mixed that live with broadcast cameras. Nothing. There was, again, because we're so used to our digital technology now.
Yeah.
Digital, and to have 4 cameras in the crane now is like, oh, okay, cool, that's nice. But I did that back in 2003, where we had tape and we had to sync everything with SMPTE. Everybody's going, what's SMPTE?
I'm saying what's SMPTE, but anyway, I'm sure you're going to tell us, right?
You know? So SMPTE is like a time code format which glues everything together. So it sends out a pulse and makes sure that everything is basically time aligned. So when one tape is saying 001, all the rest of the tapes are saying 001.
Oh.
And so I then had to digitize all of that. So it syncs across everything, multi-camera sync, and then digitize all the tapes. We couldn't just take out an SD card and stick it into a computer. Once we digitize the tapes, then we can edit. And then we've got to sync everything up by hand.
Wow.
Yeah, so no press a button and Purelize does it for you for those editors out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did it by eye. So
yeah. So I think my listeners would understand and say that you know about video, right? And you know about audio, and you know, for those that didn't know, he knows a bit about drumming. So sorry, because I know it's a tech talk, but since you're here, and I was just looking at that picture of you that I've got on the thing, you play the keyboard, brother.
Yeah, I do a little bit of that as well.
You do a little bit?
Yeah.
Come on, that's it, a little bit. You see, people they just see you as the camera guy, but you are an accomplished musician. Let's just say that, you know what I mean, as it is.
Yeah.
Because I remember in the early days, you used to play the keyboard, and you were playing the keyboard or Hammond. I can't remember. There's one of the two that you used to.
Yeah.
Was your...
Yeah, I did. I mean, yeah. What happened is I wanted to be. Before I started this video stuff.
Yeah.
But it was always kind of hand in hand. But I wanted to be like a musician and a producer. All the people around me was in the music industry. So we were so I was like, yeah, great. I'm gonna, why not? Let me do the same thing. And I had some great support. So I was accomplished musician. You know, drums was back in the day when I was at Church of God in Christ. And then I went on keyboards was more, when I was at Ruach and stuff, and producing and trying to write albums and things like that, write music. did all of that. But in the background, I was always kind of messing about with video, and video just never left me. It just never left me, even though I was producing stuff, albums and things like that. It just never left me because I loved video.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's, so someone's saying that God doesn't make mistakes. So, once you start on that journey and, you're, it's almost like your appetite has been wet. You can't just, just push it under the, it would just keep bugging you, innit? Just like, it just keep being there, and you'll be doing other stuff, but your mind will be thinking to yourself, well, I can do something else. Yeah. So right. So yes. I mean, that is, and as you quite rightly said, we probably haven't done you any kind of justice at all in terms of what you've done. You were behind, when Ruak was on TV, you were the guy that was the editing and doing all that kind of stuff as well in the background. And if you want to know anything at all about cameras, whether you're trying to buy or sell one, as I found out, he knows everything about video cameras, broadcast cameras that ain't been built yet. This guy knows absolutely everything there is. So
not everything.
Well, I find it difficult. You're just in that space, so. And it's a real good thing, that's your passion, you can see, and and it just shows that your gift will always make room for you, and it just continues to make room for you. So you're just blessed, you're just blessed in that field. So let's look at this. So we're in this situation now, right, where we've gone from, where you were behind us streaming. You're behind all the services being video, because I think people don't understand when they see online, they think it's just Kilburn location if you don't really know Ruak City Church. But there's 4 other locations. So Kilburn
in London, in the UK.
In the UK, apart from Philadelphia, they didn't give you that as part of your remit. I'm sure you're happy.
No. Although I wouldn't mind.
You wouldn't have minded going to Philly every once in a while just to make sure.
Every now and again.
Yeah. You wouldn't mind going out to Philly just to make sure they're all right. So not just the live stream, but also just the ordinary. We say ordinary, but just like the regular production, right? That goes on in terms of video and audio that takes place in those. So, for example, Brixton, 5 services. All right. And, you kind of like head the different teams that go in and out of there. So it's a huge undertaking in terms of the job that you do. But as I was saying, people only see kind of like Kilburn because it's on the streams and they think, that's just Ruak City Church. But, we're one church in several locations. So how has it been for you in this particular period of time where physically you can't meet your team and what you used to do 6 weeks ago isn't what you're doing now?
I'll tell you what, first of all, I have to give massive kudos, blessings, and everything to my team. I love them dearly, and I think they know that as well. I have an amazing set of individuals, human beings who are so gifted and talented, and I have to keep on reminding them. Because, again, we take for granted that everybody knows how to do this. But I tell you, every single person on the team in RSVP are so talented. Sometimes they just do, and not realize that it's just not an ordinary person's job. But they do it like naturally, like it's easy. They make it look easy. Some of the things that we're tasked with are really mammoth tasks, but we just make it look really easy. So in this whole pandemic, this COVID-19 situation, what I've done personally, I've tried to call every single member of my team. I'm still going around, so maybe if some of them are listening, I haven't called you yet. I'm sorry. I'm coming round. I'm just going right down the list, trying to get to everyone. But I've tried to literally, personally phone everyone to make sure they're okay. Some people are okay and some people are not. We've had some people that have not been well. But thank God, everybody is doing well. And there are people who have been sick and they're recovered and they're on the mend now. And that's, you know, just keeping in contact with people is really important. The other people I want to kind of also say is I got some awesome team leaders. I can't do anything by myself. You know, with all the will in the world, I don't have a teleportation machine, and I can't turn back time. It's not invented yet.
You haven't got
However,
a TARDIS.
I will be the first to know when it is. But they are absolutely amazing. We meet every 3 weeks. When this pandemic started, we met with the team leaders like every week. We just did 2 weeks, and just went through a whole protocol on what to do and how to do things. We had the support of everyone there. We had, you know, where what do I can say what we done? Yeah, we was like exactly the same thing. Keeping in contact with everyone. Have you heard from such and such? Have you not? Who have you not heard from? Because that it's all well and good going, oh, I heard from such and such, but you got to also think, who have I not heard from? Are they okay? We have a situation where we've got canoia if we need, if people kind of really desperate for food, and that's not because of their necessarily their personal circumstance. It could be just they haven't had the opportunity. You know, it could be, of course, it's personal circumstance. So it could be anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So how does that? Because obviously, you've got your team dispersed. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you know, normally where you have these team of people around you, you know, there is not that. You know, how are you managing your job role now as you're still producing stuff? Because I'm trying to allude to the fact that things have changed. So you know, you from having you know your people that you see all the time and stuff like that to, you know, not having that physical resource, that human resource being there, and looking at what we're currently doing and how that landscape has changed, the digital landscape has changed, not just for our church, but for other churches as well.
Well, I tell you what, I miss them a lot. And I tell you, so how it's changed. Now, I'm actually doing a lot of things. Well, we're doing a lot of things remotely. There's not much we can do remotely. So just to kind of give you an overhaul, we'd pre-recorded some shows, some of the Sunday services. Yeah. And we had a small team. I had some great people that were there. And it was a very, very small team, very small. And where we recorded Bishop and Pastor Penny and the praise and worship, we literally had we had people, myself and Donya in the back, and one camera op who came from Leanna, I hope she doesn't mind me mentioning it, came from work, came in, jumped on the cameras. We had Fabrice that was doing sound and then jumped off sound to a camera just to kind of make it work. So we Anthony was at the back recording the audio as well for the recording bit. Donya was at the back doing the words and make sure the recordings are good. And that's all we had. And then the musicians, you know, and that was it.
So has anything changed the way in which you're broadcasting now?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
The way we're broadcasting now is everything is done from one location. Yeah. So everything's coming from my house.
Well, yeah, we all know it's coming from the bishop's house. So yeah,
from my house.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm getting the programs in from where Bishop is. he's phoning in,
and
then I'm sending it out here, producing all the graphics and things like that, and then sending it out to the stream to all the different platforms. So that's why I said I miss the team, because this would have been like at least 3-person job, at least. You know, I can't do scriptures because I just haven't got enough hands
to be able to do everything all at once. But you know, and again, I think it's because you know you have that knowledge, and you know, I guess, you know, the whole thing about iron sharpen iron, you know what I mean? You talk to one person and somebody will say, you know, have you tried doing it this way? Have you tried doing it that way? Have you thought about doing something else? So you get this whole different kind of like montage of different ideas that come together. But, you know, I think to people listening, you know, they see what happens on a Sunday, and they would automatically assume that as a church of our size, it's really easy for us to transition into this somewhat challenging period. And, you know, it's just like, well, they've got all the equipment, they've got all the stuff, they've got all the, you know what I mean, all the fancy bells and whistles, so all they do is they press a button and things just happen. But, you know, you quite rightly said, you know, we're not, you know, we're streaming from, you know what I mean, from where our bishop is, and that's then coming in and it's being shed to YouTube, to Facebook, to the app, to Ruach City's website as well. And that's, you know, we're trying to maintain that service, but with, you know, very with a scaled down set of production tools and things, right?
Yeah,
very scaled down.
We've had to make small purchases in order for this to happen. Not because simply because we've changed the location.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, we had some teething problems as well.
Yeah.
It didn't all go smoothly all at once, because it looks like it went smoothly, and we were able to kind of maneuver some things in the background to just kind of make sure it happens and make sure it works. It you know, doesn't mean that it was a smooth operation. And I think for any church of any size, this is going to be a mammoth task. And we shouldn't really think, oh, just because you guys have been doing it a long time, it's easy for you. It's easier because we're in the space already, but it doesn't mean that we didn't have to make any adjustments.
Yeah,
absolutely, we did. We had to make some adjustments, and we are still making adjustments as we go along.
Yeah.
Right now, you know, there's plans in motion to kind of improve it, to improve the way we engage with our congregation and now audience, because it's not just about our congregants now and who belongs to us as Ruach, but it's about the world and being on that world stage now, and also being able to stand out, because there's a lot of voices on there now.
Well, I think, you know, I think the first Sunday of the lockdown, you know, I really don't like that word, but you know, but that's what everybody says. You know, the first Sunday of the lockdown, and then where I remember we were streaming, and all of a sudden, you know, the whole of the internet, I think, just kind of like fell over, because every church all around the world, you know what I mean, everybody decided to, you know, everybody went online, even if it was a Facebook Live to, you know what I mean, to a Instagram Live. Everybody was trying to do something that involved you going on a social media platform. And, you know, Facebook, you know, I think it had enough, and, you know what I mean, the internet just seemed not to be able to handle it. But
it did.
Sorry,
it did. They actually stopped notifications. Not many people know that they limited notifications, especially for YouTube. YouTube to 4 notifications a day.
Wow.
There was a rumor about on Facebook, a couple of the ministries' streams disappeared as well. We had to contact Facebook. And ask, we had to ask what's going on. Our stream had disappeared.
Oh dear.
There's lots of things that happen behind the scenes. That we had to deal with, and not just us, like
other churches, other ministries as well.
So ministries in America, everything.
So what would be all right? We've, you know, we're already in that space. the way I see it as well, that, you know, there may well be people, and I was kind of like alluding a little bit to this before you came on, that there are people that may be at home now. They've been at home for nearly 2 months. And, you know, you may well have your physical business, but, you know, you need to have almost have a virtual shop front or some way that you're connecting with, you know, with the world, you know, across whichever platform you actually choose. You know, what would you say, or what's the easiest way? You know, maybe we could look at an easy way, and then maybe a bit of an intermediate way, and then maybe to people who are a little bit more established, they could and want to spend a bit of money. You know, maybe look at something that's a little bit more sophisticated. But, you know, if it were maybe okay, let's start with a small church group. They can't meet anymore, and they said, you know, Brother Shean, you know, what's the best way for me to be able to share my meetings, or allow my congregation to feel like we're having Sunday service?
Right. So I've had conversations with a couple of churches, and just kind of looked around the internet as well to see what people are doing. And as far as scale is concerned, everybody now has a smartphone, and that smartphone can connect. If you're connected to any of the social media platforms, you have a direct link to the world. That's unheard of in times past. Back in the day when I was doing that, that was like you had to hire satellite trucks in order to do that.
And now you can do it with your phone, right?
And yeah, exactly. And pay for the time, because you paid for time from the satellite truck from when it hit the satellite to come back down. You had to pay for that uplink time. Now you have it in your pocket, in your phone, automatically. So something as simple as having a phone stand, a good lighting area which is well lit, a nice background, because people tend to forget about what's in the background, and some good audio. If you put your headphones on with your iPhone, that's it. That's it. People are doing that like every day.
So let's just recount. So a half decent phone. All right, we won't mention brands out there. There are other phones apart from Apple phones, so we're not sponsored by Apple. There's no, but you know, there are other brands of phones out there. I know there are some Samsung people out there, and may the Lord help them to understand that Apple is truly the way, the truth, and the light. But that's a whole other story anyway. We're not really gonna do that. But so a decent phone, right? A stand for you to put the phone on. Some lighting. And you know, that may not necessarily mean that maybe you have to go and buy your lighting, right? It might be like a lamp that you have at home. You said good audio source.
Even if you haven't got good lighting, sitting in front of the window with the light shining at you is your lamp, is your light source. With regards to audio, so you don't even need a lamp. You just need it to be lit correctly. With regards to audio, you have audio on your headphones, and you can plug it into your device and make it happen like that. If you want clear, good audio, or have the phone a little bit nearer to you, so when you're talking, you're projecting, it can go straight down the line. The audio source is better.
So, I mean, realistically, you know, if someone's out there, it doesn't take that much for you to start on this journey, as it were. You pretty much, everybody has a camera phone. I find very few people don't have a camera phone, but you know, and again, I think it's just that thing of, you know, if you're thinking of doing this, it's a good opportunity to start. Would you encourage people to start, and then assess what they're doing, or are you one of those people that kind of say, well, actually, no, wait, maybe you need to get all the bits and all the stuff, or are you saying like just start out so that you can get used to the idea and then, grow and develop as you go along?
Absolutely. Procrastination is never a good thing. Sometimes it's better to start. The thing is, you've got to start on your journey with what you have. I remember Sister Helena, she used to say, little becomes much when you put it in the master's hands.
Amen. Is that in the Bible? I'm not sure,
I don't know. That's why I said what she said. I'm not sure.
Hey, folks, don't shoot me, because I go, he's an elder, you should know. I'm not sure.
No.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. One hand washes the other, that's not in the Bible, but I'm sure you can find a scripture that kind of like before you start. Any of the smart people out there, if there's anyone, because there's people messaging me, any of you smart people out there, you can, I'll allow you to Google and find out. Yep, sorry, go on.
Yeah. Yeah, so, little becomes much. So the thing is, the more you do something, the more you become better at it. Perfect. But if you practice something, you become better at it. You don't all of a sudden look at an instrument, a keyboard or a drum kit or a guitar, and go, right, I'm there. I'm not going to play in a band for, Prince. Well, God forbid, he's passed. But whatever. You don't. You practice. You one scale at a time, one finger at a time. So it's the same principles apply when you're doing videos. You practice. You sit down in front of a video and practice. You rehearse.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might need to rehearse your beginning, middle, and end. And it's going to take you a few times.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you become really slick at it, and then you go to the next level.
Yeah, because it forms. And I just really want to encourage people out there that are thinking, because you can be in that stage of thinking, as you said, procrastination is terrible. You can be in that stage of saying one day. But if you start off, at least, even if you get your camera presence right, or you get your little script right, even if you don't have the lighting and you don't have some of the other stuff that, maybe you see people who are a bit more ahead of you doing, but start somewhere so that when you begin to get this stuff, your craft is, improving. So you're kind of like good to go. But, for zero value, you can actually get on a stream and begin to kind of like do stuff. So that's just using a phone. So let's look at maybe something that's a little bit more, and I know it's hard to say what's intermediate versus what's, because, you've got one end that is, it could be huge really, couldn't it? If you say, well, let's see how, I don't know, Sky TV are doing their thing. I want to get involved in that. That's a whole nother world. But, for, let's say, like an intermediate person who's maybe gone from the phone thing and they're saying to themselves, I really want to get into this thing where, camera good, audio good, and, how do I do that?
Right. So, so you're talking about going from the next level from a smartphone to possibly like a DSLR or something of the sort. What's really good is there is about 1 million, probably 1 billion, and I'm not even exaggerating, videos on YouTube telling me how to do stuff.
You're right. You're right.
If not 1 billion, definitely 1 billion hours. Because, you have a DSLR camera, which is really a photography camera, but most of them now shoot great video. You put a lens on it, and you can then have another audio source, which is more like a microphone, a lapel microphone, which you can attach to yourself, or you can have something like a boomed microphone, which you can have, again, you need it as close to your audio source as possible, and that will then also include that will up your audio value of your production.
I was just saying, so we just need to, so we're talking about streaming as opposed to
streaming,
as opposed to just recording, because we're thinking of you. I guess you could record your Sunday service. It doesn't have to be live, right? You could record it and then upload it a bit later on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Pre-records I would encourage, because it means that the pressure is not on that immediate moment. So if you can then probably, your rehearsals can go on a little bit more longer, and then you can go away then edit it. But that just includes another process for you to, before you have it online. So even with the DSLRs, all right, so let's not even go to the DSLRs, because maybe that is actually advanced.
Okay.
You can get a high quality webcam.
Okay.
Plug into USB, high quality webcam, and plug that into your computer and have that there direct streaming out. So if we're talking about live streaming, really, DSLR is, maybe I've gone a little bit too far.
Yeah.
But you can do exactly the same thing for video you can for audio. So you can have a USB microphone into your computer. So you can, do you know what I mean? And that way, then the audio quality will improve significantly. Your video quality will improve significantly, and then your streaming will look a lot better.
Yeah, and to be honest, some of the laptops come with pretty decent. I guess it all depends what your kind. I guess if it's a church thing, then you're gonna want a camera that can kind of like get the whole thing. But maybe again, looking at, maybe it might be a pastor trying to do an address. Maybe he hasn't got the whole people there, so he's maybe at home, or you're trying to reach out. Some of the, again, there are other laptops apart from MacBooks, but I know the Apple ones, the cameras are pretty good. You know what I mean? They're 720p, which is pretty decent resolution. But there are other laptops out there that can do that job, can't they? With just the camera that comes installed as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, my thing is, you hear this kind of bantered around the internet. The best camera you have is the one you have with you.
I like that. I like that.
And it's like, all right, my phone camera is not great, but my laptop camera is better. Then why not use a laptop camera?
Yeah.
I've got a little USB camera. It's not great, but it's better than my laptop camera. Why not use use what you have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always what's in your hand, really, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's
use
okay.
what's in your hand.
Yeah. Use what's. It's all right saying I'd love one of those, 8K, Steven Spielberg babies. You know what I mean? That I could.
The problem is with stuff like that. Like, you got 8K. 8K is now coming into everybody's mind because of various like cameras and things like that, and TVs now. But the problem is you can't even see 8K.
Come on now.
You can't stream 8K. You can just about stream 4K.
Yeah. No. I completely. And you're streaming it, but if the person who is receiving it is still on a good old, 1080p, that they're not going to get the 4K quality, right? Am I right to say that?
That's right. Yeah. You can only if you're on your phone, with most phones, do 720. 720. I mean, you've got, I think it's the is it S20?
Yeah, the S20.
Galaxy?
Yeah.
Yeah, shoots 8K. You're thinking, oh, wow, it's 8K phone.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Double the quality of the 4K, whatever one you had before. But it's, how are you going to see that 8K image? Only it's going to be
what?
And on the phone. I don't know. Does the phone display 8K image?
You see, and you've hit a fantastic point as well, that people sometimes get a little bit confused about as well. The actual resolution of what you're shooting versus, at the end of the day, it's where your end consumers are going to receive that signal. So sometimes you can maybe do yourself a bit of a disservice, right, by trying to say, right, I'm going to be shooting in or I'm going to be streaming 4K stream, but most of the people that are getting the stream are when you check the stats, you find it's Android, Apple devices, Huawei and that kind of thing. So you're saying, well, actually, nobody's really streaming to a smart TV that much, because it's on an iPad. It's probably the biggest device. So, you know, would you be advocating maybe saying to yourself, well, stream maybe 1080p, and maybe, again, because I can't really explain it, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but maybe explain, the difference between kind of like 720, 1080p, because we're saying all these words out there and people think, I don't know what that is, but maybe just kind of like explain a little bit about the resolutions before we kind of like try and tell people what they should and shouldn't do.
Because there's several different things. You're absolutely right. Because there's several different things. Even resolution sometimes is not your deciding factor. So just to explain what you said, like 720p, we're talking about lines. When I started out back in the day having, when I was doing video and tape, the lines were like 540 or 640 by 480.
Yeah,
those are the lines we're dealing with. You've got that, and it was great. People didn't dislike TV because it was standard definition, and that's what we call standard definition.
Okay, good.
So that around those things. So we've also, the reason why the sizes are irregular, because you had standard definition, which is 4:3, which is a square image, which was meant for square TVs at the time, because most televisions were square.
So I knew that the TVs were square, but see, now you're making it all make sense. You see?
Yeah. So that's why you had 4:3. So it's 4:3 ratio.
Yeah.
And then you went on to what you call widescreen, which is 16:9. So 16:9 is widescreen because most TVs were moving into widescreen.
Yeah.
And so when you could even get standard definition widescreen, but the resolution to the pixels, the amount of pixels were, because those numbers relate to pixels.
Okay. And
so the more pixels you have, the better the quality. And that's for display only. It's not just for display, but we're talking about displays only. Not necessarily, because recording pixels are, again, another kettle of fish. That's like when you record something from a sensor, that's another set of pixels and another set of ratios and understanding of color science, different than the color science that you broadcast or send a picture at someone at, or display, TV, whether it be TV, computer screen. Up from the widescreen, now it started to get deeper in resolution, so you then added more lines. So we had 720, which was not quite HD. It was like just nearly HD, but not. And then they decided, you know what, we're going to change the TVs again, because it's all about television. It's all based around your display. So it's based around what consumers have in their house. So then it was like, oh my gosh, you can get another TV. It's now 1080. It's full HD now. And it was 1080 by 1920. And then that's kind of what everybody is used to and knows about. And that's where the YouTubes and everything is kind of based around. And also all the recording formats had to change, and it's all based around that. Now we've got 4K. You've got two lots of 4K. And without getting too boring, you've got cinema 4K and you've got normal 4K or UHD. Which is a domesticated 4K. And then you've now got the whole 8K thing, and I presume you'll probably have about two versions of that as well. One which is cinematic and one which is domesticated, which will probably be a little bit less pixels. So those numbers are relating to pixels and how many pixels can fit in the side of the screen. Now that does not include the size of the screen, because you can get 1080, which is 16 inches, and you can get a 1080 or 4K, which is 65 inches.
Mm.
So the size of it is different from the aspect, from the actual bands and ratios.
So
I
this,
don't want to get, because I can feel I'm going.
Yeah, I did warn them that you know what I mean. So as
Okay.
much as you try to make it seem like you don't know what you're talking about, and I just do this as a little bit of a hobby, and yeah. Somebody said that, you know, you're quite accomplished at the things that you do, and you're obviously showing it. You know what I mean? And I'm going, and I'm actually, but you know, the reality is that if you're trying to send something out, then the idea that you're trying to send out sometimes these super duper high definition things across a stream, across the internet, that you're already going to have constraints with, right? Because, you know, you don't have your own internet pipe. You're competing with, you know, everybody's trying to do the same thing. So, you know.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I was going to say, right, so with all of that said, it's all going to get squashed down to probably 1 megabyte. So most of that data is going to get thrown away.
Okay.
Because your pipe, what you said, your pipe is not going to be that strong going out or coming in. So even though you might have a 20 meg pipe, it's still going to get reduced because your phone is not going to. Think about how much your data package is on your phone. You got 10. People have got now. You got 5 gig and 10 gig of data on your phone, but you're not going to be using 10 gig for one stream. It's going to be megabyte.
True.
Otherwise, your data will never last for the month.
So is that something to take into consideration as well then? If you're moving away from the phone thing and maybe you're doing a bit more of a fixed thing, you know, you're in a building, is it, you know, worthwhile saying to yourself, can I get a decent internet package as well to you know, to accompany what I'm intending to do as well? So you want to use a big boy computer maybe, or, you know, something that's a little bit more up from the phone. You know, is it worth saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, I was talking to another church, and they were talking to me about, there was like, our internet everybody seems to be logging on to the Wi-Fi whilst we're doing it. Personally, I wouldn't really recommend using Wi-Fi if you're doing a live stream.
Okay.
I would recommend you have an Ethernet hard connection into any device that because Wi-Fi is susceptible to so many different things. You know, you have a package from whatever provider you have, BT, EE, Virgin, Sky, and you know, you get 20 meg or 50 or 100 or 75, depending on what it is, BT Infinity, all those things.
Yeah.
And so you've got to think about those numbers when we're talking about. That's why, even though the screen stuff is really boring and it's, oh my gosh, why do I have to know about screen resolution? Because it comes down to how much data you use to make that screen resolution small enough to send out for people to watch. So you don't want to be pounding your internet connection with 20 megs of data going out. And again, when people are watching it, they're throwing it more than half of it away on their phones because their data package can't handle it, or the computers, or where they're at home. So, you know, even though you have a big pipe and you're sending a lot of data going out, you've just got to, why not just send a little bit less? So, you know, 1 meg or 2 meg or 5 meg is crazy. 5 meg is a good amount, but still a little bit, a lot. And TV goes,
and that's
from,
the
up 8 to 10.
So a lot of people, you know, because you get your broadband and they always advertise your download speed, right? How quick it is for you to download. But reality is, if you're doing this, it's what's going the other way is what you really want, right? And that number is always normally way smaller than the 20 or 30
You
meg.
know what? You make a good point. That's a good, because the thing is, I'm talking to you about 70 meg and 80 meg. That's all download.
Yeah.
Your uploads, that's why I said 2 meg or 1 meg.
Yeah.
Because realistically, that's going to be half of your upload speed anyway.
Yeah.
You're lucky if you get 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, 3 and 2 is normal, and especially in this day and age, because everybody is, although they're watching, some people are sending out. So I'm going to mention Zoom.
Okay, yeah.
Because we haven't mentioned Zoom, but Zoom is like a great way of also broadcasting. I won't. Zoom, OBS is another way of broadcasting. That's a bit techie, so I won't go into. I'll tell you what that's for. That's just software. Those are 2 different pieces of software that you can use to connect via your computer to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram Live, all those things. It needs something to be able to encode that.
Yeah.
And those are 2 great platforms. But again, you're looking at very, very, very small, because those settings are also going to be in those programs. So 1 meg is good. 800 kilobytes is good to send out.
But I mean, you know, and I think, as I said, we you open this almost like a Pandora's box, don't you, of different things.
Yeah, I know.
To kind of consider, because I was going to talk about software and stuff like that, and it's good because Zoom is, you know, everybody seemed to be using Zoom. Zoom's free as well. I think for your first 45 minutes or so, or 30 minutes, and you know, it does allow you to be in that place where you can, you know, invite multiple people to different things. Obviously there's limitations with this stuff, but you know, again, but that's another way. Again, maybe if you were a smaller ministry, you know, and you're saying to yourself, well, okay, the streaming on the phone thing sounds kind of good maybe if I was doing something, but you know, we're trying to have church, you know, and I'm the pastor, and you know, I need to kind of like engage with my audience. Zoom is a great way to do that, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, especially I know congregations who have used Zoom, and sometimes they just use the audio version of Zoom. So no video, people just dial in.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know? Yeah, I know some churches are doing that.
Oh. So again, because the thing is, if you're having problems with your internet, if you cut out the video signal, that then improves things as well. So
cuts it in more than half.
Yeah.
So it's little, really small files that or megabytes that you transmit.
Yeah.
That it's not even mega. I think it's kilobytes. It's that small.
Okay.
And so lots of people can join. There won't be no dropouts. It'll be a more enjoyable thing for people to enjoy a service. You know, enjoy the message and whatever. You know.
And what about things like Skype as well? Is that, you know, it used to be a big thing before, but you know, how do you see Skype now in terms of, you know, I think it's paid now, isn't it? You have to pay for it.
Skype, right? So Skype has got about 2 different services. They've got one. You've got Skype Broadcast, which you have to pay for. You pay a lot of money for. So those are the things that BBC, Sky, ITV, Channel 4. They use, when you see the little Skype bug in the corner, that's a paid for service, which is specifically for broadcasters. So obviously they've got higher bandwidth, they've got higher service level agreements with regards to getting the signals from A to B, because obviously they have to be reliable.
Yeah.
For our normal Skype has changed, and also it's actually integrated into a thing called Microsoft Teams. Because Microsoft have bought Sky or something, or Skype, or something like that. So Skype and Microsoft are kind of together.
Oh, that's interesting. So Teams is part of that as well. So
Teams is yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's how they kind of. So if you got the 360 package, you can get Skype for Business, but that's also integrated into Teams, which you might as well have Teams, which is a very good collaboration platform to work across. You know, with Teams, we work across different locations, different people with Teams. So
you know, the more we probably talk about this, and you know, I think we probably just gonna have to revisit again, because I'm thinking by the time you get to the more technical solutions and stuff like that, I think you should talk about the more high-end cameras and how they can work as well if you're looking to kind of like really improve what you're doing. But I think there is just so much out there to consider, but in saying that, one of the most valuable resources which you kind of like mentioned before is to actually go on YouTube, type in what it is that you want to do, and you pretty much guarantee somebody has done a video about what you want, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the danger with YouTube is there's so much out there.
Yeah.
And also you got to kind of like eat the fish and spit out the bones.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that's like,
Yeah.
But
I guess that's but pretty much. Or alternatively, they could all just call you, couldn't they? And then you'd be able to help them out. So I'm just putting your number on the screen so they can all call. Shean Roberts.
Getting a million.
Yeah, get a million people calling you to find out exactly how and what needs to be done. But okay, let's just talk. So that's kind of like the intermediate thing where you're saying we're using Zoom and stuff like that. And to be honest, a lot of these things are interrelated. So even if you're using Zoom, if we're talking about more high-end cameras that you can use as webcams to get a different kind of like look or feel, you can use those with Zoom and stuff like that. But if you said, all right, so that would be kind of like a bit of an intermediate thing. If you wanted to go to maybe like the next step, not like the next step, but the next step from that, where you say, okay, I've done this, I'm kind of all right, but I now want to move my game up a bit more. What would you say that next step would be?
Right. So you can go, depending on the size of your team, you can go to things like PTZ cameras if you've got a very small team.
Well, what's that?
PTZ, they're robotic cameras. So PTZ stands for pan, tilt, zoom.
Are they expensive? That sounds expensive,
They are very well, all right. So
okay, so not
£1,000.
You see, I know you've already gone. You know what I mean? I know you're kind of like laying the ground for your next request that's coming up. I know. No. Let's just look at. So the guys now they've gone from iPhone to maybe using their laptop and using Zoom maybe to get a little bit of better audio and stuff like that. So what would be the next thing if they said, okay, what's the next way you could still be small but enhance what you're doing?
Okay, so we're then talking about, I think that's where we go into the DSLR or camcorder
kind of thing
realm.
Okay,
yeah, because that way you're getting a kind of professional look or a definitely DSLR type of look. It can also be connected to the camera with certain types of software you can use and again have that kind of look translated to your computer. In fact, you probably need a capture card in order to do that effectively. And that would be where a lot of people sit at the moment, especially people who've got video experience, a video editing experience. That's where they'll go. Yeah.
Okay, so it could well be that you may have your camera anyway sitting around, but there is a way, maybe for you to connect your camera to, either to your laptop, and again, as you said, through different software, or you might need to get another external device just to be able to do that. But it is possible for you to upgrade that. And sometimes, before we started doing this whole radio thing from home, I was kind of like pulling my hair out, and it was Fabrice was talking about it, and Fabrice said, you got this stuff anyway. You know what I mean? All you just need to do, and sometimes you think that you don't have it. I mean, I know it's slightly different for me, but you might think that you might have a camera that you've always taken pictures with, or someone's got a camera, and you don't realize that your cameras now, as you quite rightly said, a lot of the digital kind of like professional cameras you can hook up and then you can get a better picture. Depending on what kind of software and other bits as well. But I think it's understanding the stages of where you are, and then desiring to, once you're you're a bit more comfortable there, saying to yourself, I want to kind of like go a little bit further down. But I think if we look at the watchword, really what you said is, realistically, if you have a phone in your house, even if you don't even have a phone stand, really, you might get someone else. Well, I guess social distancing doesn't allow you to, but you could balance the phone on something,
books,
books, and the camera is on you, and you're kind of like good to go, right? And you can begin to do home videos of a whole load of stuff, really. It doesn't have to be of cats that are running around your house. I mean, you can maybe it's cooking stuff. It could be maybe you're sharing something online or whatever it is. But whatever that passion is, I think now in this time of isolation is a good opportunity for you to look at how you can reach out across the World Wide Web.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, we've never lived in such a technological age. This is like you can get to the end of the world, or in fact around the globe.
Yeah.
That's why these memes and everything go viral, because a lot of people view it, and it's just some of them, if I had the magic sauce to find out how to make a meme viral. I mean, there is a formula, but do you know what I mean? That would be like.
You might need to explain what a meme is to people.
Oh,
well.
So if you all right, yeah. So if you had like oh my goodness, what's a meme? Just like a video, or it's a comedy kind of video, or something that people find funny, and lots of people find funny, and they make it into a very short, very, very short video. Sometimes only a couple of seconds long.
Yeah.
Like the famous one is Arthur, the baby biting, his brother biting his finger. That just went viral just because people found it funny. What the little brother said. Brother bit him and said, "Oh," but that's a meme anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. But you can get, that's a classic example. You can get around the world
in seconds
just by that. So and then when we're talking about the gospel, we're talking that you have the power to preach, sing, teach, do Bible study, not just in your hometown, not just in your home, not just in your city, not just in your country, but around the world. That is so powerful. That is so powerful.
Yeah. And rather than you sitting at home and not exercising that gift, now is the opportunity. Maybe do a couple of demo videos first before you maybe try your initial maybe going live, depending on what platform it is that you're going on as well. But it's you have to start, and to be honest, as much as it might sound, but I'm sure if somebody was really they thought to themselves, I really want to get involved in this, I need some help. I know you're a busy man, so it may not be the case, but if somebody was really that desperate, I'm sure between myself, yourself, and some of the other guys would be able to help people out who are trying to have a bit more of an online presence and trying to understand some of this techie stuff. Because there's some people that don't know any of this technology, but they just do it. They say, I need this, I need that, I need that. I don't know what bit rates are, I don't know what DSLR is, but I want a good camera because I want to look pretty nice, I want to sound great, and I want to make sure that I can stream all the time. So what do I need?
Oh my God. But, I mean, this stuff is there. I mean, you see, I guess we could, can always try and help and give advice. Maybe.
So if you're out there, if you are out there, Fabrice is on as well. Hey Fabs, you're right. If you are out there and you need and you need help, and you know what, I always gotta love our bishop, because it's always about trying to help other people. Even on like being on the radio station, could we mention other radio stations? There's never any restriction on us mentioning other radio stations, because at the end of the day, you can't, you're not going to be everybody's, not everybody's going to want to listen to rap radio. Not everybody's going to want to listen to Premiere. Not everyone's going to want to listen to Unique or whoever it is who's doing stuff. And, as Kingdom, we have to try and help each other to be at that place where, we're all operating at that very, very high level. So, I think it's been really great, you know, picking your brains and understanding. And, you know, you guys can hear that he is definitely a technically minded person. You know, Fabs is there. Fabs is part of the team as well. We've got a team of people that have, you know, we learn from each other, you know, and if we can take what we all learn together to make your ministry, you know what I mean, more technically proficient, or, you know, get your guys trained and stuff like that as well, then, you know, I think my bishop would be very happy to know that we are reaching out, especially now, to make sure that we get that gospel out, you know, by every way possible.
All for the kingdom.
Yeah, all for the kingdom, man. All for the kingdom. Or you just never know where your next blessing is going to come from. So, you know, you have to always, keep doing. But you know what? You've been a really good guest, you know. So I wasn't too sure whether you were going to behave yourself, but you've done. You've been absolutely amazing. Everybody said, "Oh, it's really lovely."
I tried.
So now you're going to expect a whole load of people when we do go back. They're going to be, "Oh, we heard your interview. You're an absolutely fantastic guy." So you're going to run after you.
Remind them, this is the first time I've been on radio. So.
I think you did. I know that you did really well, and you know, I'm really grateful for the time and effort that you put in. I know, you know what I mean, the bosses and everybody else that, you know, every time they switch on YouTube, and you know, this evening they're going to watch Bible study, and every time that goes on, you may feel that it's just, you know, a camera in front, but there's a whole load of stuff that's going on in the background to ensure that we get to that point where, you know, people can consume and, you know, and enjoy the fruits of our labor. So yeah, I'm kind of glad. I'm gonna have you back again. You know, I think maybe what we'll do is maybe we'll get Fabrice as well, and we do a bit of a deep dive, kind of like into technical things for those people that do want to know a bit more. Because I know that, you know, we learn at different levels, and there may be someone out there say, well, I'm not at the iPhone, I'm not at the webcam, I'm actually at the bit where I'm thinking of, you know, mini studio, broadcasting, sound. What are the things I need to consider? You know, maybe looking at what kind of best software is out there, what kind of free software, because I think, again, people don't realize there's a lot of free stuff. There is so much free stuff. You don't have to spend, you know, an arm and a leg. You can if you want to, but, you know, there's some good free stuff that's out there that's being supported either by donationware or shareware, depending on how it's done. So there's a lot of stuff that's out there as well. So
do you know there's a free version of Zoom?
Is there?
But it's not called Zoom. It's another. There's a freeware version that does the same video conferencing software like Zoom.
Because I was going to say,
by the way.
No. I was going to say Hangouts, and I think Google stopped Google Hangout. Google Hangout was kind of like a thing that you could, you know, have people.
No, it's not Hangout. It's not Hangout. It's another one.
Okay, all right.
I was like, when I found it, I was like, okay. I mean, you can actually have it on your server. You can build it yourself. If I had the time, I would definitely do it. I'll be like, I'm having that on my server, and then I can do video conferencing. It's totally private because it's on my server.
I think that's a whole other thing, and then maybe even looking at YouTube and stuff like that. People are thinking of going into YouTube, maybe doing a few more talks about that as well, because you know, I'm learning a whole load of stuff about it. We're all learning about these kind of things. But you know, I think, again, just to reiterate what you said, the world is changing, and it's changing at such an alarming rate with technology that, you know, you need to be on board with. I mean, we're not forcing people down a road, but you know, you're going to have to understand things like, you know, you may well find that the only way you can maybe reach your grandma is by FaceTime, is by using Zoom, is by using Skype. So all of these technologies can work to help us, you know, in these times, to be able to connect. You know, and I know it sounds like it's a bit impersonal. Oh, it's just a screen. It's not the same. We know, but you know, when you can't come out and grandma wants to see your face, you know, if you show her how to hit the button when the Zoom call comes in and she can see you, you know, imagine how much joy that's going to bring to, you know, to your family, folks, and your loved ones. So yeah, I am very, very happy, man. We've been on the thing for you've done all the time. So yeah, who do I send who do I send the bill to, Mister?
Oh my goodness. Well, 122.
Listen, Shane, you've been an absolute diamond as ever. I will be sending that bill there. In our next technical meeting, I'll be pushing it over the, pushing it over the counter to you so you can have a look and see. But thank you so much. Thank you for sharing of your wisdom. Of your journey as not just as a as a man of God in the kingdom of God. A lot of the time I think technical guys get a bit of a bad rap. People don't feel that we there's any degree of spirituality here, or people think whether or not we actually do go to church. But you know what I mean, we're really passionate about establishing the kingdom. Hello somebody, we're really passionate about establishing the kingdom, and we need you to pray for us as we continue to serve you, right?
Indeed, absolutely. That's the reason why we're here. We are kingdom focused.
We are kingdom focused. We are kingdom builders. Shean, listen, go sort yourself out, man. And I'm gonna finish up here. We'll probably catch up a little bit later on. But thank you so much. Getting lots of good reviews. People saying well done. Your professionalism and everything else. Obviously they don't know you, but yeah, they're saying professionalism and stuff like that. But
I'll pay you later.
But yeah, it is. But it's been really great. And you know what? I think one of the things is I think we've broken the ice and demystified some of this stuff, because it can seem a bit scary as well. But we're telling you that you could basically go on and you could start something with just the thing in your hand. I think when God said to Moses, "What have you got in your hand?" You know what I mean? What have you got in your hand? You know what I mean? It's not just for you know what I mean, WhatsApp group messages. You can do a lot more with the power of your phone. So all right, my brother. Listen.
Get too deep, but
no. Let's not get super spiritual. Otherwise, we need to collect an offering, and I don't have that video available on this show, so it's not going to be a bit hard for people to be able to do stuff. But you know what, Shean? Thank you so much, my brother. God bless you. I'm going to let you go.
All right.
Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
All right, that was my brother Shean. As you can see, he's a hoot, but also somebody who is, he has so many years of experience, as do quite a few people that work within the RSVP team. Got to say, shout going out there to Elder J as well. She takes care of the guidance and the control and everything else that the RSVP team does, and she kind of like heads it and makes sure that we all kind of like behave ourselves, because we can all be a little bit like mavericks sometimes, but we're under a good shepherd who's given us some really great stewardship in this time as well. But as I said, if you've got more questions about this stuff, and you want a little bit more about how maybe you can increase your online presence and stuff like that, I am more than happy to take your messages and pass them straight on to Shean. No, I'm more than happy to take on your questions and stuff like that, because it is, let's demystify some of this stuff. And, if everybody listening out there says to themselves, right, I want to really have an online presence. I really want to, come out and be doing something online, then, it's the start, the beginning. You have to start something in order for it to begin, which, might sound a bit silly, but you need to start. So if God is speaking to you and you need help or you need support, then reach out to us, and we're going to do our best to make sure that we can help you out, right? How's that sound? So well done to Shean. He's virtually finished the whole clock, but it was worthwhile doing. So listen back to it. I know there's a lot of things in there and technical jargons that we use in terms of stuff, but listen back, and something will drop, something will resonate. Check in YouTube as well, and you'll be surprised what you find out. But it's your boy DJ Val saying thank you so much to Mr. Shean Roberts. I got about 4 minutes left on this show. I'm going to have to shut it all down, but it's been very insightful. Do remember, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And then if you haven't subscribed, just try and subscribe again. Subscriptions mean a big thing. It goes a long way. And of course, sharing is caring. Make sure that you are taking the opportunity to share this information. You may say, well, this was really great, DJ Val, really liked it, but maybe there's somebody else who might benefit from hearing this and understanding how it can well apply to their ministry. So yeah, it's a bit of a niche thing, but as I said, in this world where we're all being connected by cameras and stuff, I think get what you can and then leave the rest. Amen. So I want to say thank you to all the people that jumped on online. So many different people from different places, across all the different platforms that I'm sharing this show on. And you know what? If you want to kind of like know what I'm doing and stuff like that as well, if you're thinking maybe you two, you want to do something maybe in radio and you see yourself and you're saying, well, yeah, I could do that. How do I get started? More than happy to offer you any kind of assistance. No charge at all. No charge for you. I'm sending all the bills to Shean, as I said before. But no, you might have that desire and say to yourself, well, I like music. I really want to consider being a presenter and stuff like that. How can I do it? You can do it, and it's a lot easier than you think. I think we might do a radio one, talk about how you can get set up as being on a radio station. Maybe I get Mr. Alistair V to interview me and I can tell you what I do technically. Without being too techie and stuff like that. So yeah, it's good to take back the airwaves, I think, and that's what we're doing, right? We're taking back that space with a good solid message of the gospel. We're playing some great music. Hey, you could be showing people some great life skills, all I can say is, there's greatness inside all of us, you just need to work out how to unleash it, right? So it's been your boy DJ Val. I've got to get ready to sign out. I think I should do something. Hold on. I'm going to sign out with this one, right? I've been playing this one. It's by Shogi Tosh called Mama. So I'm going to sign out with this one. Thank you very much indeed to everybody that listened. It's your boy DJ Val saying stay home, stay safe, and keep the faith. See you tomorrow, folks. Take care.